How you doing?
Hello.
I'm doing good.
It is I, your pal, Ishi. That is right. J.Ishiro Finney, author, alien in a human suit, and you get to look at me. Look, I'm swell. You get to see me for a change. And it is Tuesday with Ginell because we couldn't do it Monday. Let's see. And we were going to start the show off with just Ginell has not heard the Adventures in, well, I guess it's Adventures in Weird that we did last Saturday, where we read the golden classic pulp adventure story or sci-fi, The Golden Amazon. How would you explain this book, Kat?
How would I describe The Golden Amazon? Well, very, very much so bad shit. I mean, oh God, how can I? It's hard to describe other than the fact that she, right off the bat, she was a sociopath. Although there was a lot of, if you missed it last time, here's the recap of everything that happened in the previous book. So it was okay that we all came in the middle of it because they recapped the whole entire thing for us.
Yeah, but we're gonna actually start with the first novel this Saturday, depending. We have to see what's up with Trenton first. He might come down. Oh, so Harble says, it's Irish samurai time. Irish samurai alien time. I like that. Irish samurai alien. I think that might be the new title.
Nice.
The Irish samurai alien in a human suit. Anyway, I guess as people kind of cycle in here, well, let's wait a little longer before we make the announcement of the very cool news and the thank you. But before we get there, I've been reading some books, researching for the book I'm writing right now. And if I'm going to write about why it's perfectly okay to have busty characters in your story, I need to know the counter arguments. What am I arguing against? And
there are no counter arguments.
I've noticed all these feminists in their articles keep quoting this one guy named Mike Madrid, who wrote a book called The Supergirls, Fashion, Feminism, and Superheroines, or something like that. And it is the most batshit incoherent thing. I mean, it's horribly inconsistent. His idea of what is okay and what isn't seems based on who he thinks is hot. But the one that got me, okay, the weird connections, and this is why I'm sharing it with you, Ginell. He tried to claim that the Dark Phoenix saga was a metaphor for the debauchery of the 1970s and the punishment that came after it in the 80s. And it was about cocaine and AIDS and all the free love being punished by Reaganism.
Oh, okay. If you could see me now, my eyes have rolled back into my head from rolling them really hard, and my mouth is hung open. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
So are you fucking kidding me? That's what that guy said?
Yes. Actually,
where the fuck did he pull that out of? Like, seriously.
You know what? Kat, hold on. I'm going to be right back. I'm going to go get the book.
Oh, you're gonna get it
there.
So you can
regale
the audience.
There, you can look at Kat instead. I'll be back.
Actually, I was gonna move in front of the camera so I could also see the computer, but I'm gonna move it back. There we go. Hello, everyone. I have a horrible echo in my ear, so wait, if I do that, I can't hear Ginell. Oh wait, Ishi left his headphones here. I'm gonna steal them instead. Haha. There we go. Now I can hear Ginell and I don't hear me. That's even better.
Well, I haven't been really talkative.
Well, we'll change that.
Okay. Well, I
Hey.
explained to Ishi that we went downstairs for dinner. We're on vacation in Las Vegas because it was my
Oh,
birthday and Mother's Day on Sunday. So Steve took me to Vegas with Chris for we leave on Thursday. And we went downstairs to have dinner, and I ordered a cocktail. I ordered an old fashioned. I was expecting a watered down Vegas drink.
yeah.
No, they actually gave me a real old fashioned that wasn't watered down. So I was like, oh,
Really?
okay. I'm a little tipsy and I have a show to do in a half an hour.
Oh,
So
geez.
I was like, I was like, I'm sorry if I stumble over my words tonight.
Hey, that's perfectly fine. I've been working all day and my brain is mush, so we're probably in the same in the same realm there. Happy birthday!
Thank you. Yeah,
And of course, happy
I'm going to
Mother's Day.
brag a little bit. Steve
Yeah.
hooked it up, and we're staying in a suite at the Bellagio.
The next one is going to be wireless.
Nice. Okay, Ishi's
Yeah.
getting his headphones back on.
All right. Okay, so how are we doing this? Here.
Well, you're reading,
You're the prettier one. You sit here.
Well,
What?
I thought I'm doing things.
Oh, are you going to do things?
I'm cleaning up so that
Oh,
it
okay,
doesn't look
cool.
like a pigsty over there.
Oh, okay. Well, this just looks like a workshop. I wouldn't worry about it. By the way, can you guys?
Like Hank Hill, I want to put all my tools in their proper place.
Okay, I'll accept that. So, okay. Ishi is rocking the cargo pants. And I'm not dressed up today.
Real quick, how many people do we have?
We have 14.
Okay, are we doing this right now?
We'll read it a few times.
Okay.
By the way, can you guys hear Kat all right when she's in the distance? Okay, anyway.
Anyway, just wanted to say a huge, let me get that out of my ear, a huge and very heartfelt thank you for I Spy Guy. Dude, thank you so much. I was so surprised today when I opened the door and the Amazon guy was there with a package, but it was a package I was not
A
expecting.
very big package.
It was a very big package. And in fact, it is because of I Spy Guy that the camera that you are seeing us all through right now is not on a log. He was very kind and got us a tripod and a new light. We haven't set up the light for this show, but we will for subsequent shows. But again, thank you so much, dude.
And that is all you can see me.
Yep. And we get to see Ishi. Yes.
Aren't I
That's
swell?
really
You are swell.
awesome.
Yeah, incredibly. Okay, apparently they can all hear you fine.
Okay, good.
It's probably because you have the higher pitched voice. It carries further.
Probably.
So, okay, yeah. Again, thank you very much, I Spy Guy. That was incredibly generous of you, and we appreciate it absolutely. And we'll do a few more shout outs because, damn, it was quite a surprise, a nice one. So what I was getting to was for the boob book that I'm writing. You know, it's essentially a comprehensive guide of writing these characters, all the technical information you're going to need for writing these kinds of characters. And then the last part of the book is kind of more the theory of writing such characters and the counter arguments. Essentially, it's okay to write these characters. Nothing wrong. We've been doing it since the beginning of time. They're just as valid as any other archetype. And if I'm going to write about the theory of writing, I need to know the counter arguments that have been made about why characters like Power Girl shouldn't be allowed, and that they're horribly sexist and sexualized and objectified, blah, 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 blah. Well, this is the book all the feminist journalists quote in their articles. It is called The Supergirls, Fashion, Feminism, Fantasy, and the History of Comic Book Heroines. Now, the thing is, the guy knows his stuff as far as what he's read. He's read a lot of comics. He's got a lot of it right. He makes a few leaps that I know aren't true. Like he makes one point in which he says that, you know, Wonder Woman originally had a attractive but modest and athletic body that wasn't sexualized, unlike those Varga pinups of the time. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Wait, what? That character was based on bondage. Like, she got tied
Yeah.
up every issue and got spanked on the ass. And she
Right.
was wearing a fucking corset. I'm sorry. I know this is
Yeah.
all rhetorical, but like, really?
Yes, really.
Okay.
And no, but there's an
Ugh.
even greater flaw that I would call him out, but it's not a book about refuting this guy. So I'm not going to, but he claims that, unlike those pinups and Varga girls of the era, in my research, I found that, and it's stated multiple times in the book, that Wonder Woman has the perfect modern Venus measurements. And according to Marston, the perfect modern Venus measurements were a Varga girl. So we actually know
apparently
the exact, yeah,
Oh, no. Go ahead. You'll finish.
we know the exact measurements of Wonder Woman for that reason. She is, I think, 5'7", 36, 24, 36, and a double D. And we know that because that was the measurement of Varga's models or his wife.
Well, this guy doesn't sound like he. It doesn't sound like he did as much research as he said. But
Yeah.
whatever. I'm sorry. Like, this book already. Yeah. No.
Okay.
That's 2 strikes against it.
Now to get into the fun part, because again, our specialty is 80s era X-Men. That's really one of our shared loves, is that it had such a huge impact. And I know in some ways you're even more of an expert than me. So, yeah. Anyway, what he claims about the Phoenix Saga is hilarious. Okay. Dark Phoenix's struggle was a parallel for the late 1970s, where the hedonistic search for pleasure and gratification led to addiction and ultimately death. The glamour of Studio 54 and the wild delights of the nightlife were diminished in the early 80s, when the first reports of the gay cancer would become known as AIDS and surface. Many felt that it was an atonement for the Bacchanalian lifestyle of the 70s. Phoenix, too, had to atone for the genocide that she had committed in her quest for her pleasure. A cosmic empress ordered Phoenix to stand trial for her crimes. Chris Claremont originally planned for Phoenix to undergo a psychic lobotomy that removed her powers, but Marvel editor Jim Shooter felt that her punishment needed to be stronger. Rather than have a watered-down Phoenix story, Claremont decided the final judgment. Knowing that she would never control her inhuman hunger of the cosmic entity that lived in her body, Phoenix had to make a tough decision. She had to die.
Okay. Apparently, this guy didn't live through the 80s.
Yeah.
You want to talk about a bacchanalia?
Yeah.
Jesus. It was nothing but coke and tits. I mean, seriously, that's the only way I could describe the 80s.
Well, he seems to also write lovingly about the era when Wonder Woman wore bell bottoms and had Gloria Steinem glasses and a haircut.
Ew.
And he actually goes on this really, really long rant. I mean, it's like 5 or 6 pages about how much he hated the costumes of the X-Men in the 80s.
Okay, this guy just hates the 80s. Like,
Yeah.
There's no reason for it. The best costumes came out of the 80s. They were punk rock.
Yeah, he said that
Actually, a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say, a lot of superhero teams did not have good costumes in the 80s. You had that horrible Black Canary outfit and the horrible Zatanna outfit at DC. Yet you looked at X-Men and they looked so cool.
Yeah. And a lot of them, they could have actually passed on the street normally and it would have been okay. Like, when a lot of Rogue's outfits, when she was kind of doing the punkish new wave look. And
with the double studded belts that would hang off her hip. Yeah.
Yeah. And, half the time Dazzler was kind of doing the Jane Fonda leg warmer thing. Remember that?
Yes, she was more like the she crossed between the Jane Fonda aerobics instructor and then like the hardcore new wave glam,
Yeah,
like the kind of punk hair that was sticking up and the
right.
leather mini skirts with the leather boots. Yeah.
And Longshot looked definitely like a hair metal rocker.
One of them, I can't remember which X-Men, would call him Blonde Jovi.
Oh, geez, really? I'm gonna have to go back and
Yes,
find
Like
that.
something Gambit would do.
Blonde Jovi.
Blonde Jovi. Yeah, actually, I think it was Jubilee called him Blonde Jovi.
That works. That sounds like something she would say.
Yeah.
Oh, Ricky Joy says he loves the Fallout shelter sign in the background.
Oh, thank you.
In fact,
It
do
needs to go on the wall.
you want to try and show them the?
I can, but you guys are talking.
Okay.
I can do it later.
Burn the book. Well, I'm using it for research purposes, and I'm glad I did, because apparently, even though this guy is definitely a male feminist twit, a lot of the feminists who quoted him misquoted the book to make him even more extreme. So I'm glad I actually got the book to make sure that the quotes that I was using were correct, because some of them aren't. But yeah, here's the quote that I had put in the book, or that I wrote, that I'm quoting him on, just to show how much of a sexist douche male feminists are. He's talking about Power Girl. The design of her costume featured a circular cutout on her chest that drew the reader's eye to the main attraction, Power Girl's massive cleavage. To put it bluntly, Power Girl was stacked. She may have a life to lead as a powerful and independent woman, but her D-cup breasts and revealing costume took the thunder out of her manifesto. No matter how much she may have roared, there was always the impression that the male comrades and the readers were sniggering behind her back as they looked at her chest. It's like, fuck you, dude.
Well, okay, I'm glad I had that old fashioned. I take it all back. Jesus Christ, this is so bad.
What a douchebag. So let's get this straight. Power Girl has big tits and a little cleavage, and now she's a joke, huh? She can't be independent and powerful.
There was, I can remember one issue where it was one of the many issues where they asked her why she had the hole in her chest.
Yeah.
And she said, she made some comment like, because it's the perfect distraction for guys, the villains will stare at my chest. And like the characters are like, wait, what? And she just was smiling. And I can't remember what issue it was, but she actually said that at one point it was a distraction. So yeah, she's such a joke. Yeah, it's a distraction before she knocks him like 3 miles down the street.
Yeah, and the thing is, any woman that's that ripped is not a joke.
No.
Just put bluntly. And the other thing that I liked was, really, I came to the conclusion that the circular, the cutout with the cleavage, that is her logo. That's my take.
That is, you know what? That is what's the word? Here now I'm talking about the stumbling. Not a good idea, but no, you're correct. I agree with you. Like that became her emblem instead of replacing it with the S or whatever the emblem was for her house. For Krypton, was she also an S?
I don't know.
I can't remember what her emblem, but yeah, that became her emblem. You can't have Power Girl without the cleavage window.
Right.
I mean, even Adam Hughes drew her in a evening gown, and the evening gown was all white, and it had the cleavage hole, the cleavage window in the dress. It was like, because that was her symbol. I thought that was so cool.
And I see it as her emblem, because it's kind of I am risque. Yeah, I am this. Fuck you. I'm going to be me. Deal with it.
Yeah. I mean, she's one of the hottest characters in comics. And the fact that she has that, I loved seeing when women that were super stacked would cosplay as Power Girl at Comic-Con, and like they
I liked
had
it
built
too.
a dude, they looked hot. I actually had Steve take a picture of me with one of the chicks dressed as Power Girl because I was like, number one, she's got a great set, and number two, it's Power Girl. You didn't see
Yeah.
very many girls doing Power Girl.
Okay. Yeah, I kept trying to get Kat to do it, but she wouldn't.
Kat, you would make a
Well,
great Power Girl.
Oh, I would now, but when he was asking me to, I did not have a body like this. I mean, these come naturally, but the rest of me I look more like Mojo.
No, you weren't that heavy. You were stocky. Actually, that is the thing. Don't listen to her when she says that. She always had that cute face. The fact is, when I met her, I thought she was just a stocky girl, really. That's how she carried the weight she carried. It just looked like she was broad built. And then she lost the weight, and I go, oh, whoa, you actually have a different bone structure. So
I think that whenever the comic book conventions open back up, Kat, you've even got the same hair length as her. Like, you could totally rock it.
Well, actually, I do know. I do look good as a platinum blonde. So
I bet you do. How do you know?
my dad's third wife did things to my hair.
Oh, really?
So.
Oh, you've got the pale skin for it, so. Yeah, I think she'd rock it. Right now, she's dressing this way because because we were discussing her costuming as Varla from Faster Pussycat for Halloween. So she's been calling this her Varla outfit. But she needs the biker boots.
I don't have biker boots, but I am wearing boots.
So
I could
I
also see Kat doing the big Barda as well. I would love to see her in the big Barda get up with the helmet and everything.
That's my dream. Seriously. Well, I have been watching a lot of shows about how to do cosplay, so like make your costumes.
Okay, so we've got some comments here. Is Ishii rocking the khaki cargo pants? Okay, well, I read that one. Fair Maiden White, hello there. Dr. Roscoe, the rock and roll clown. I love him, but I don't ever want him in my house. But I love him. Is that from Death Clock?
Yes, it's the Apocalypse.
Yeah. Oh, man, that show is great.
We introduced our kiddo to the soundtrack. We bought all the soundtracks, and he's in love with it. I'm like, it's too bad you're not old enough to watch the show. But that was good music too.
Yeah.
It was. We've actually got the first one.
Yeah, the first CD. And, just the idea of a death metal man doing an advertisement for canned coffee. Or, coffee
that's
beans.
one of the best episodes.
Are you ready for coffee? That was it, Mermaidor.
Mermaider.
It's about murdering a mermaid. Hey there,
I
Chicken
like the
Sith.
one where I like the one where they go to Finland to apologize for like destroying the country, but then they decide to read an old spell that awakens a troll, and they have to put it back to sleep.
I need to see that.
You've got like this ice troll running around destroying things.
That's awesome. No, that's brutal.
LK, evening all. Is this the Hellfire Gala outfit review show?
Are they talking about like the actual Hellfire Gala that's going on in the X-Men comic books right now, where they're wearing some funky weirdo outfits?
I don't even pay attention anymore. I have no idea what's going on. So, Michael Connor, Chris Claremont painted himself into a corner. And, I watched that documentary, and that story was hilarious. I love that story. The fact is, no, it wasn't, she needs greater punishment. It was that Claremont and Byrne had their ending, and Shooter said, no, this sucks. No, not after all that. This is a letdown. No, we can't go back. Do something better. And Claremont leaves and comes back. He couldn't think of anything, so he thought, okay, I'll just propose something he'll never take. and that way he'll take the ending. And he says, we'll kill her. And he goes, great idea. And Claremont's like, what? You agree? And Claremont tried to talk him out of it.
Out of it.
Wow.
I thought that was actually the best. Well, no. I think the best story in that documentary was, oh, God, I can't think of her name right now. The Italian, the feisty Italian woman editor.
Nocenti.
Nocenti, yeah, Ann Nocenti, yeah, exactly. Her story about getting hired was the best one. Where she was right out of college. She wanted to get into the publishing business. She sees an ad in the Village Voice, and she does 5 interviews. They all go great. They won't tell her what she's doing or what she's editing. And her thought is, it's porn. And when they hired us, this is porn, isn't it?
That was a good one. Imagine her surprise when she found out it was comic books.
Yeah. And it turned out she was a really good writer.
Dude, she was. And like we've talked about before, she created the Mojoverse.
Yeah.
And that is one of the best story arcs that came out of X-Men. And speaking of the 80s, it really went with the flow of the 80s with entertainment. You have people really into watching MTV and, game shows. I mean, I can remember people like watching the block of Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy. Like that was when that started getting big, that hour block of game shows. And then there was the ones in the morning, like $10,000 Pyramid and Press Your Luck. Like it, and then you had the great movies that were coming out too. I mean, it was the golden age of horror and sci-fi.
Yeah.
So, and then, like we talked about. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, you look at the movie releases for that decade, and it was like every month something amazing, or 2 or 3 amazing films were coming out.
Yes. I think it was, have you ever seen the listings for the movies that came out in 1984? They said that was like the best year in that entire decade. It's
Runner,
nuts.
Ghostbusters.
Conan?
Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah.
It was the golden age for comedy too. Like good comedy, not like the crap comedy we have now, but all the really good comedians came out of the 80s. And that was in the Mojoverse as well. There was always that comedy. Where you had Major Domo being the straight man to Mojo's comedy man.
And I kind of wonder if, who was it that replaced Shooter? Was that DeFalco?
Harris. Tom Harris was the one that replaced Shooter.
I kind of wonder.
And then turned it into the shit thing that is now.
I kind of wonder if later on they were making fun of him with Mojo.
Oh, Harris?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because the one where they have the X-Babies show up.
That was still Shooter, I believe, wasn't it?
Okay.
I thought Shooter didn't leave till the 90s because when Shooter left was when Harris came in, and Harris was the one that was like, "Oh, Jim Lee, oh, Rob Liefeld, here, take these stories or take these comic books and run with it." And that was the 90s.
And I just
like
remember
it was like 89, 90.
That one with the X-Babies was entirely a pitch meeting because he was saying that the X-Men were boring and tired, and they needed something new and impressive to revitalize the franchise. And that was the whole reason it happened.
That was the one where they actually drew in Chris Claremont and Louise Simonson and Jim Shooter, and Claremont starts complaining about writing, and Mojo turns his head into a toddler's head. I remember that clearly. And then Ann Nocenti as Ricochet Rita was stuck to the front of the barge steering it.
That was so insane. There was kind of a real Max Headroom vibe to that too.
Yes. It really did. It was so wacky. And I got to say, when the X-Men cartoon came out in the early 90s, for what they could do with the short amount of time, the trip to Mojo World, they nailed Mojo.
That stuck in my head as a kid. I wanted more of Mojo World.
mean, even has the great insult where he pulls out his own nose hair and shows it to the producer and or the writers of the show and said, "My nose hair can write better shows than you."
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Okay. I agree, Chicken Sith. That movie with Ritter and Dauber, the movie with the television as hell, was cribbed from
Stay
Mojo
tuned.
World. Stay tuned. Yeah.
And you know what? I agree too.
But Stay Tuned was entertaining.
Oh yeah. Stay Tuned was very entertaining.
One of my favorite.
It
movies.
had a great cast. I mean, you had Eugene Levy
Although,
and Jeffrey Jones, who unfortunately turned out to be a pedophile. Like, I loved that guy, and then I found out he was a kitty diddler.
damn. Well, speaking of Stay Tuned, it may have been cribbed from Mojo World, but as research, I was reading the early John Byrne issues of She-Hulk. And there's one where the villain pulls her into a TV world where everything in the TV world is fucked up and trying to kill her. And there's like the Flintstones, the Jetsons. It's really funny. Trying to remember a few others, but yeah, it was. Everything was. She was changing the channel with. She had her channel changer with her, and that's how she kept changing the world.
I have never read the John Byrne run of She-Hulk. I've heard it's fantastic, but now I want to read that issue.
It's hilarious. I mean, Deadpool's got nothing on her as far as breaking the fourth wall. I mean, the fact that she kept yelling at the writer throughout the book. God damn it, Byrne! What kind of plot? What?
Oh, no, go ahead.
Damn it, Byrne! What kind of plot twist is this at the last minute? No, I don't buy it. What are you trying to pull? Or she's climbing out of the panel to beat him up.
I like the one cover that has her carrying John Byrne over her shoulder, yelling at him about how he's going to write her a better book. I remember that one.
In the TV world, it turns out she's been captured by, is it Captain Bong or Dong, something like that, right? And the bad guy's got a bell for a head. That's it. And she just looks at the viewer and says, seriously, the Fantastic Four get Doctor Doom. I get this? Really?
Oh, I wonder if they have omnibuses of his run of She-Hulk, because I want to get it now.
I hope so. But yeah, the humor in it's really, really tight too. I mean, I don't know. The stuff we're getting now, I mean, these people think they're so cutting edge and they're hacks. I mean, yeah.
A perfect example is Jason Aaron. Everything that man has touched has turned to dog shit. He ruined Thor. He ruined X-Men. And he went back and he ruined X-Men and Thor further. I don't know if you guys have heard the latest news, but the Phoenix is actually Thor's mother.
Oh, come on.
Freya is not, or Freya, I can't remember it. In the comics, is she Freya or Frigga? They always change it around. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, it turns out that there was an Avengers team. It's called Avengers 1 million BC, like really stupid. And like Iron Fist existed, and the Phoenix was a cave woman, and it was led by Odin. I mean, it's bullshit. But you find out that the Phoenix had Thor as a baby, and his mother adopted him. And this was all because the Phoenix decided that it needed a new host, so it went to the Avengers instead of the X-Men, and now the character Echo, the deaf ninja, is now the Phoenix.
That's kind of retarded.
Yeah. So, yeah, Jason Aaron, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Taking apart everything that Chris Claremont put together.
Well, I told you my take. As far as I'm concerned, the MCU ended in '89. It stopped. Nothing after. That's all fanfic afterwards.
Yes, I agree. It's all fan fiction. It really is all fan fiction.
Yeah.
I mean, you really want to talk about like a good example of fan fiction coming into comics and destroying it. 89. Because that after that, it's just been fantasies.
Well, the other thing that got me, and I'm so glad you turned me on to that documentary about the X-Men, was finding out that it was the X-Men being so crazy successful, which strangely no one seems to remember now. It was six spin-off titles and bi-monthly releases. And they had a huge demographic reach. I mean, male, female, it didn't matter. All these things they claim they want to do, the X-Men did it. But the thing that got me was that the X-Men was so successful, it was Harris trying to milk that for everything it was worth that killed essentially Marvel.
Yeah, it was the multiple titles, or I'm sorry, not multiple titles. It was the multiple covers. I mean, do you remember when Jim Lee's first X-Men came out? There were 5 covers, A, B, C, and D, and then E. And E was all 4 covers put together, folded up. Then you would fold it out when you opened the comic. And then you had X-Force #1 had like a holographic cover, you know, all that shit.
It's like, who cares?
No, seriously. I think you remember when we were visiting, Steve talked about how what killed his want of reading comics was when that all started, because he was sick and tired of being a kid, giving up all his money to buy multiple covers of these comic books, and it killed his love of comics.
Yeah, and the stories really went downhill. It was all Flash. It was all collector's covers, and yeah, crap.
They were rehashing old enemies too. It wasn't like bringing back an old enemy and coming up with a new story arc, or even coming up with new villains. And when they did come up with new villains, they were kind of shitty. But, you know, we talked about this before too. Jim Lee just had to have his moment, so Magneto got brought back. He also did the same thing with Mojo. He had his Mojo World run where you find out Dazzler's pregnant, and then the next writer comes in and says, "Oh, Dazzler wasn't pregnant." You know, stupid shit like that. He didn't even come up with his own the one good villain. No, I think that was Chris Claremont. Wasn't Omega Red Chris Claremont's last villain that he created?
I believe.
I don't know if that was him or Byrne, but one of them created that. That wasn't Jim Lee.
Okay, yeah, like that was the last cool villain I thought that came out from that whole arc. Yeah. But other than that, it was literally Jim Lee just writing his fan fiction of Claremont's story. That's really what it was. Oh my gosh, an epiphany. Holy shit. Yeah, it was Jim Lee was having his fan fiction put into stories so he could write what he felt should have been written.
You have to be a fan in order for it to be fan fiction.
Oh,
yeah.
Ow. Yeah, you have to love the material.
Okay, then it was just straight plagiarism.
Yeah. Okay, here it is. This is the panel I was talking about. Give me a second. There it is. Dr. Ball.
Dr. Ball. That is good. I want a t-shirt of that now.
And the funny thing is,
his hand is the...
Yeah.
Yep.
Also, the prior issue, they imply that it's Doctor Doom who's going to be in the next issue. They make this whole big deal of the Doctor is in. And she says, oh no, Doctor Doom's going to show up, isn't he? And the next issue is this.
That is good. That's gold.
Here's another one.
Oh my God.
Is
that Wolverine? Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay,
that was it.
I need to read those.
In the issue where she's in the TV world, she encounters RoboCop,
Nice.
And they start ripping on the cartoon sucking, and she stops the kid from finishing the sentence saying, that's a Marvel show. Don't get them mad. They might cancel us. So yeah, absolutely. Just, it was good back then. There was some really good work. Okay, let's see. I'm trying to see if I can't get any more images to share, but the crap we're getting now is just pain.
Mhm.
The crap we're getting now, it breaks my heart because I'm like, all these kids, no wonder kids only read manga. Probably because their parents are like, no, you're not reading this crap. But if they go and read it, they're getting such a twisted version of what really was made in the 70s and the 80s.
Yeah.
Oh God, I love it. She's climbing out of the panel.
Yeah, because she's pissed off.
There's a reader out there now. Oh, these are good.
Yeah. And and the art's great. You see these, it's like, my God. Okay, let's see
I like
what we
how
got
she's
here.
climbing out of the panel, but he smartly drew the briefcase to cover her panty shot, the money shot.
Oh, they keep doing that. They keep doing that through the whole thing.
Oh, okay, so that's done on purpose? Okay.
Yeah. Over and over again, they have they keep implying that she's naked, and then like you'll turn the page and it's like, oh no, that was just a motion blur. See, I'm actually dressed. There's another one where she's jump roping. It looks like she's jump roping naked, and she says, "Come on, I could do this for the next 24 pages, and you'd buy it."
That really is good humor.
Another gag I really like is she's running out the door because she's late for something. She says, "Oh my God, I'm late. I got to get someplace." And then it cuts to a subplot where another thing's going on. And then it cuts back to her arriving where she's supposed to be. She's, gosh, I love subplots. They're so much easier than the subway.
I want to know how John Byrne could take She-Hulk and make it so funny, yet absolutely fail on Alpha Flight. Alpha Flight had everything going for it to be awesome. There was so much mysticism in it. And it just sucked.
Okay, LK. The thing about John Byrne is that She-Hulk is that it's funny, but the stories are also well written and engaging. It wasn't just jokes to be funny. True, absolutely true. You are invested in the stories. I noticed that. Okay. Anyway, so.
Oh, sorry, I was reading the comments because I'm learning about She-Hulk from everybody right now.
Yeah, I was kind of looking to see if there's...
Oh, I was just going to say, I really do hope there's an omnibus.
I do too, actually.
I really want to read it now.
Up JC. John Lee and Byrne created Omega Red.
Okay. Well, at least one half of that creative team is cool.
Ambush Bug are the only ones that break. Deadpool does too. That break the fourth wall.
Michael Connor, I swear Claremont realized he killed his own career by getting Shooter fired during that documentary. What do you think?
There was so much hatred for Shooter at that point. I've read stories not from just like the Claremont thing, but other artists and writers have talked about how horrible it was for working for Jim Shooter. I don't know if any of you out there remember when Marvel came out with a separate line of comics called New Universe.
I remember that.
And it was supposed to be based kind of on like our reality, where all of a sudden just superheroes start showing up. Jim Shooter, that was his baby. And he was really anal and strict about it. You know, every single story had to be done the way he wanted. It got to the point where not only was he strict on all the other books, he was really starting to focus a lot on New Universe, to the point that he's from Pittsburgh, and he made one of the characters that was supposed to be like an analog to Green Lantern basically be from Pittsburgh. And so everybody's like, oh, Shooter's trying to write himself. And so when he got fired from Marvel, the writers in revenge killed that character and nuked the city of Pittsburgh in the stories, is a big way
Whoa.
of saying fuck you, Jim Shooter. And then they proceeded to completely destroy that universe, and there was a civil war and everybody killed each other, and that's how they got rid of it, because it was their way of saying F you to Jim Shooter. And I always wondered, after learning, Bob Harris and DeFalco and all those guys coming in and just destroying everything, if they really realized that they made a mistake, that, sometimes the grass isn't greener on the other side of the fence. And so, yeah, I agree that Claremont regretted helping to get Shooter fired, because pretty much all the writers and artists lobbied to get him out of the office. They were done with him.
Well, we talked about this before, that I honestly think that they were one of the Marvel at that time had such an amazing group of talent all in one spot. And, that fire, we see it time and again with groups of artists. It can only last so long before they start hating each other, or
Yeah.
it burns out. I mean, you see it all what? It happens all the time in music, especially, where, after a while they just get sick of each other. So, at the one end, we can say it's a real shame that it ended the way it did. Claremont could have kept the X-Men going till he died, really, I think, if he had had Louise and Nassetti with him.
Yeah.
I think he could have kept it going.
Eventually, I think they would have burnt out too, not in hatred, but just stagnancy.
Yeah.
Like, how many more villains can you come up with? How many more story arcs can you come up with? I am always okay with writers and artists leaving. It sucks. Or I used to be. Now, everybody sucks. But it's okay to see them leave.
Well, the thing is, though, I don't know if it would have burned out quite so quick for them, because they were doing something that nobody else other than Judge Dredd was doing. And that is, the world changed, people died, people retired, people aged in real time. And that does wonders for keeping something fresh, because it's not the same thing over and over again. It's a linear story. And that does wonders.
I was going to say, another comic that did that before DC did the New 52, Hellblazer. John Constantine aged in real time. I have the comic book where they celebrate his 40th birthday. I always liked those kind of stories. I mean, it made me so sad that we didn't get to see Claremont's vision of watching the older X-Men age up and out, and the New Mutants were going to become the next main team,
Yeah.
But of course, they turned into X-Force, which sucks. But it was cool to even see that some of the younger characters moved on to, like, Kitty Pryde and Rachel Gray went off to Excalibur with Nightcrawler as a more senior character, but they got to do their own stories. Then you had the original X-Men kind of go off on their own thing, but he was still trying to age them out. And Beast was talking about he was going to be in his 30s soon, an X Factor. I just, we keep talking about like woulda, shoulda, coulda, and it just sucks, because it's like rubbing salt in a wound. Like, oh God, we could have had this.
And then the Marvel insists, well, we've got all these characters retired. We should bring them back as, money.
Yeah.
Jeez. Scrolling marquee. Now there's an effect I haven't seen for a long time. Well, it's easier than continually. Yeah.
Oh no, Amazon. Oh, so you guys have put up an Amazon wish list.
Yes.
Okay.
You know what, Kat? We've got 31 people watching. Why don't you look at the camera and thank I Spy Guy?
Okay. An absolute huge and heartfelt thank you goes to I Spy Guy. Today we received a package from him from Amazon, and it is because of him. Sorry, no, I'm not getting teary. I'm just
You are. You're getting teary.
Well,
You're all
actually,
broken up
it
about
does
this.
kind of, get me in the feels, It's because of him that our camera is no longer on the log. We are now talking to you on a camera that is sitting on a beautiful tripod. As well, he also sent a really nice professional light. We don't have it set up yet, but we will on the next show. But there you go.
Let's see.
Can you show them the tripod?
Yep.
Excellent. So, just a huge thank you, I Spy Guy. It really means a lot that you support the show. So thank you so much.
That and not having to deal with that log on the table makes all the difference.
You really wanted to move that log, didn't
Oh,
you?
God. Fuck. God damn it. I'm never going to win this. No matter what, you're always going to twist it into something really fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
I
the
didn't
reasons
hear
I
what
love you.
she said.
I said I was the log, having the log in here was a real pain in the ass. She said, you really wanted to move that log, didn't you?
Okay, that's good.
Thank you.
So wait a minute. We thank one of you listeners, and the views go down. What the hell? So okay, what else do you want us to talk about? I mean, once again, we're talking X-Men, but that's a given. I wanted to talk X-Men because I'm reading a book where a guy named Mike Madrid really tries to convince us that the Phoenix Saga is about the 70s and AIDS and debauchery. And having to pay the piper.
What was so good about the 70s anyway? You had the fucking OPEC crisis that was literally kneecapping the Western world. At the same time, inflation, Nixon took us off the gold standard, inflation skyrocketed, and our military morale was in shambles because of the Vietnam War. And these same people that this asshole is looking up to were spitting on said soldiers, calling them baby killers. Yeah, the 70s was a great fucking time. Somebody doesn't know their history. Sorry, this man.
Well, this guy's an older guy. He actually was, he probably was in his prime during the 70s. He probably was one of those people spitting.
Yeah, that sounds like it, because I'm sorry. You read history books, and there's not a lot of positive things about the 70s. Like one of the few glorious things that came out of the 70s was Star Wars.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, there's not much. Music was still good. But I mean, Studio 54 was a disgusting place where people snorted coke coke and tits. That's the 80s. But I'm like, we're shooting up heroin in the bathroom. They even had the neon sign of the moon snorting heroin out of a spoon.
Oh, jeez.
Like, there were Studio 54 is disgusting. If anybody has ever read remotely anything about that, like the 70s were just gross. The only good thing that came out of it were the Charlton Heston disaster films and some good music and Star Wars and Star Trek, because Star Trek, the motion picture, came out too.
Well, the thing about, I don't think 79 counts because that was the transition. That was the year we got Alien, and we started getting the first real hints of New Wave, and things started to change. But the thing about
79 is a good year.
Yeah.
That's when I was born.
The thing about Star Wars is the 70s were such a depressing time, apparently, that to have a fairy tale come out with heroes and villains, and he gets the girl at the end and everything, it wasn't, at the time, all the sci-fi was really depressing. Everything sucked.
Yeah. Star Wars, the good guys won, like the actual white hats won. And they did it in such a chivalrous and awesome manner.
Yeah. Another one about the 70s. I really agree. Granted, I don't remember the 70s very well. I mean, I only, I have an incredibly good memory from my youth. That's the only reason, because I was a toddler. when it was the 70s. So yeah. But looking back and reading history and talking to people, parents, stuff like that, I agree with John Carpenter. What the 70s was everyone realizing and dealing with the fact that the 60s was a failure. Their peace, love, and drugs revolution was a total flop, and started with the Summer of Love and ended with Altamont. And it started with the Merry Pranksters and ended with Manson. And that the 70s were essentially, everyone said fuck it and gave up. They decided, there's something critically wrong with us. Nothing, we're doomed. Fuck it. Let's just get high and party and wait for the end.
Well, don't forget the 70s was also the end of the Black Panther movement and the birth of the Bloods and the Crips.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah. It really blows my mind when I hear people talk about, oh, I wish I lived in the 70s. Like,
No,
you don't. You're right. John Carpenter said it correctly. The 60s was a failure. The utopia that was supposed to come didn't come. And instead, like, you're looking at the shambles of the peace, love, and happiness movement. As the said people that were doing the movement were shooting up heroin and shitting in the street and permanently destroyed San Francisco. I mean, it was those people in their movement that turned San Francisco into the lovely toilet it is today.
Yes. And also keep in mind that New York was, as dangerous as it is now, apparently.
Yeah, we're going in a weird cycle because we're experiencing the century all over again with. Just to get, I'm not going to go full economics and politics, but wealth disparity, corporation, the corporations are the new robber barons.
Oh yeah. Well, I would continue.
At the same time, you're having social upheaval.
We're losing you.
Oh, you're losing me?
Yeah, you keep cutting out.
Okay.
Cut out.
Okay, hold on. This is what I was talking about. That the internet at the Bellagio sometimes goes to shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. I lost my train of thought.
I
was on a rant about the 70s.
I know what you're talking about, and I thoroughly agree, but for cat's sake, I think we'll move on.
No, keep going. It's okay.
Are you sure?
I'm okay.
Okay, I'm sorry, Kat. I can rant about history.
No, history I'm fine with. It's current
I was just going to say we're experiencing this.
We're losing you
the only
again.
thing I was going to say was we're experiencing the same type of social upheaval like in the 60s. So we're going in a weird cycle.
I agree.
It's like a wheel of time, but it sucks.
I like that. That's like the wheel of time, but sucks.
Yeah.
I can get behind that. Was it Beavis and Butthead? Wait, this is the future, and you know what? The more things change, the more they suck.
Now that's a show I want to watch again. That is a brilliant show. I cannot wait to show my kid Beavis and Butthead.
Jeez. We should have put that on when you were here. I've got like all the discs you can get of the available episodes.
We have all the holiday specials and the one that he did in the 2000s that made fun of Jersey Shore.
Yeah, that was great. That was great.
Those were good.
I wish they'd done more of that.
They also made fun of Twilight.
Mm-hmm. I will love you till the end of time.
Yeah, now give me some of your popcorn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think them instead of videos, doing commentary on the MTV reality shows was amazing.
was brilliant.
Oh yeah, I think Mike Judge said he was supposed to have multiple seasons, but after he trashed their shows through that show, no other seasons came out. I mean,
Really?
Beavis and Butt. Yeah. Well, think about how much they trashed Jersey Shore and
Oh
Teen
yeah.
Mom. I mean, he took them to task. It was beautiful. It was like Beavis and Butthead were smarter than the audience that watched those shows. It was great.
Okay, wait, I
It,
want to check my email because this actually relates to a question I've been meaning to answer from a listener.
okay.
So, but no, I think that was the genius is that I noticed boomers generally didn't understand why we thought Beavis and Butthead was so damn funny.
They
Did you ever
didn't.
notice that? And what they
Well,
didn't,
my dad was a boomer and he watched Beavis and Butthead, but my
oh,
dad
well,
was a special kind of dude.
okay,
He would watch Beavis and Butthead and Ren and Stimpy.
Wow.
boomers got Ren and Stimpy. That because I think it was because it was so reminiscent of, it was also lampooning their own childhood, all the
True.
50s stuff.
Yes.
Garrett Davis, if you're listening, I will answer your Daria question because it does relate to Beavis and Butthead. So if you're in the audience, Garrett, let me know. And if you aren't, I'll probably answer it anyway and hope you hear this. So I'll give it a second. Yeah, Garrett Davis asked me a question about Daria. There's a video from Academic Agent, and he was saying that the problem with Gen X was that it produced a bunch of pseudo-intellectuals that reacted to the world with essentially quaint cynicism and witticisms just to get by. And I think that's where a lot of people misunderstand both Daria and Beavis and Butthead. And that is neither Beavis and Butthead or Daria were the heroes. They were as fucked up as everyone else. And the joke is that we were laughing at ourselves watching these shows. Because we all, well, if you were an adolescent boy, you all remembered that phase where you were like Beavis and Butthead. All of us remember that phase of pull my finger and hey, I just saw a butt, and
If you didn't necessarily just remember that phase, you knew somebody that acted like
yeah.
them.
Oh,
That
yeah.
would, instead of taking their test, would fill in the bubbles with like lightning bolts and skulls instead of
Yeah,
actually taking
exactly.
the Scantron test.
And all the stupid pranks they'd pull and all the other yeah.
Yeah.
And it was
Working at
we were
fast
laughing.
food joint,
Yeah.
fucking around with the food at the fast food joint.
It was a parody of our own generation. We were laughing at the shit we liked. We were laughing at the videos because on some level we knew they were goofy. And in the same way,
Yes.
Daria was not supposed to be taken seriously. She herself on multiple occasions would admit she's full of shit. And that everything she said was just so that she didn't have to deal with things emotionally. She wasn't some great sage.
No, she also had a very dry, sarcastic humor.
Right.
And the way she could just deadpan as she was ripping you apart. It was brilliant.
Exactly. And yeah, she hated the world. She was depressed, and that's how she dealt with it, by not dealing with it. And I think the best one that they ever pointed it out was when they sent her to a psychologist, right? And she comes in the room and she gives the psychologist her own diagnosis about what all the things that are wrong with her and how she doesn't deal with her problems. Can I go now?
That was a good show. It wasn't as good as Beavis and Butthead, but it had some really great moments. And I like the fact that she was the monotone one.
Yeah.
And her best friend, who was supposed to be the tortured artist, was just so peppy and happy and always telling her to not be so monotone.
Oh, come on. We all knew the perky goth.
Yeah.
There was
I knew
always
a
at
couple of
least one
perky goths.
perky. Yeah.
Actually, I was in high school when Daria was going on, and I knew everybody that was in that school. It was somebody that was just like everyone.
And the number of times that Daria screws up, the number of times she admits her own weakness, or she shows that she plays like she's above it, and then she falls into the trap too. And yeah, I think that's as LK put it. They totally thought Daria was the hero. She was the cool outsider. It's like that was her image, but she really wasn't, and she was aware of it. It was a mask.
There was a great episode. Daria you remember Daria had a crush on Jane's brother Trent, the music.
Oh yeah, all
And
those were good. Yeah,
that's when you'd see the mask fall because she was really into him. And I remember an episode where they go by a piercing place, and it was like a 2-for-1 special, and he's like, let's go get our belly buttons pierced. And so she read it as, oh my gosh, we're getting our belly buttons pierced together. And she was super excited about it. So she gets her belly button pierced, and then she comes home and it's itchy and it hurts. So she takes it out. You're not supposed to take it out. And so the next day it's scabbed over, and she freaks out because she's like, oh my God, this was like my thing with Trent. And so she goes and she apologizes. Yeah, she apologizes to him. She's freaking out, thinking he's going to hate her. And he's like, oh, it's no big deal. It was just cheaper to get a 2-for-1. So I didn't expect you to keep it. And you just see she's like heartbroken because it didn't mean shit to him. And that's what I appreciated about the show.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Oh yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay.
Then there was also the number of times her deadpan behavior went too far and screwed things up. Yeah. So no, I think that's the problem. Is that I guess either people back then who took it literally or came to it as thinking, well, she must be the hero. Which I guess there were people that did think that. And I don't know. I get the feeling that a lot of younger people today, I guess, take what they see at face value. I hate to be saying that about probably 2/3 of our listeners. You can call bullshit on me if you think I'm wrong. But there does seem to be a lot of, at least, I don't know. I don't know enough about Gen Z to say, but millennials who take what's on the screen at face value and don't realize there might be subtext or context going on that puts it in a different light?
I think it's because we have entered a time where you have to be so politically, sarcasm's gone because of political correctness. And so I think Gen Z might not necessarily truly understand sarcasm, and it might go over their head because they're thinking that somebody's being mean because that's just all they've ever known. But I could be wrong about that too. You guys can call me out on my bullshit as well. It's just something I've noticed is like they don't get sarcasm, or they don't get tongue in cheek.
Do not understand humor or sarcasm.
No, they don't. It's sad.
And that was something I noticed in San Francisco among all the really super lefties. Sarcasm and humor did not exist. Everything was literal. Well, there you go.
That blows my mind.
Here you go. Marv called me out. Said, not all. Exactly. See, if I'm wrong, you guys got to say so. I am the older generation looking at what's going around me through a lens. If I'm wrong, yeah, say so. Here we go. I just heard something in the Times where today where a millennial was demanding gratitude for bringing sincerity back. Sorry. See,
that hits the nail on the head right there.
Gen X was nothing but cynicism and irony, according to this straw man argument. No, that was the if you always are disappointed, or if you're always expecting the worst, you won't be disappointed. That was what it was, guys.
That's always been the attitude. It's like we have a very
low
bar.
Yeah, we definitely did.
Yeah. You expect shit all the time. So when it's not shit, you're really happy and truly thankful.
Yeah, like
and then it makes everything awesome.
Yeah, when it turned out that, we were all going to turn 30 after all.
Yeah. We weren't going to die in a ball of nuclear fire.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, none of us expected that. I mean, we really all expected the worst on that front. So, yeah.
Oh, I always thought as a kid that I was going to die from a nuke. I mean, that's just how I grew up. Yeah, that was just normal.
And,
I don't think a lot of younger generations understand the feeling of having a literal nuke pointed at you. That's at least something that boomers and Gen Xers understand. Like, yeah, there was the basically the gun to the head. It was Russian roulette. You didn't know.
Pessimism. Either you'll be vindicated or you'll be pleasantly surprised. Yes, actually. Well, I think we had this conversation last week, and somebody commented we were laughing about all the Gen X experiences that we'd had that were funny to us, and somebody commented, Gen X is kind of depressing.
Yeah, we kind of are. But the great thing about that is we find it funny. It's great.
You had to. That's how you survived. Yeah. You had to. You got tough. And
I think that's why Gen Xers have such dark, sick humor too.
Oh yeah.
Like the twisted shit came from the Gen Xers.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah.
The chat is lit tonight, Trenton says. Yeah, and also speaking of the bomb, was it Dungeon Delver? I think he and I don't remember if we did this on the air or not, or if it was before the show, but we were talking about just the horrendous nightmares that stuff like Threads and The Day After gave us as kids.
Oh, Threads! Oh my God, dude!
Yeah,
you heard about how they did a Oh, Threads is frightening. They actually did a poll in Great Britain that it literally Threads traumatized an entire generation of kids from watching that on the BBC. There's no words. I really have no words. That was probably one of the most depressing that I've ever watched. And it was a horror film too because it was realistic. Yeah. And The Day After as well. I mean,
The Day After was frightening to a kid.
Human society fall apart.
But Threads, for some reason, was far more disturbing. It just was.
Well, you heard. Did you know that they actually worked with Carl Sagan on Threads to know what would happen to the atmosphere? That's why they were able to show that people in their 30s would blind with cataracts.
Ugh. That's terrifying.
Yeah.
Well, the good part about being a millennial. Well, the good part of a millennial got over the cuddly and then got our minds warped by the R2000. Yeah, the odds were.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. LK, The Day After was an event I still remember. ABC had a 1 hour show after the movie. Yeah, to discuss nuclear. I remember that.
I remember that.
Threads. So that was the British production. Threads. Okay, let's see. Quote. Horrible. Okay, see, now we're resonating with all the Gen Xers. Horrible. We do not distribute the food to the people who will die of rat poisoning or hoard it and use it to pay survivors to bury the dead.
Dude, that was one of the most fucked up scenes where they were talking about they have to eat. So if you work to try and clean up everything, we'll feed you. And if you can't work, you starve to death. That was fucked up.
Okay, Star Storyteller. And what's so stupid about all those nuclear disasters is that it kept people from using nuclear energy, which is cleaner than, and so the boomers just went bonkers on anything nuke related. They hear the nuclear or atomic and they go bonkers. And in the 70s especially, that really screwed up the energy infrastructure that we could have had. It also set fusion research back by about 2 decades because in their mad dash to ban everything related to nuclear energy or nukes in general, the anti-nuclear movement attacked the funding for fusion research, which would be safe. But anyway, enough of that.
Well, you think it's funny because the country that got hit by nukes, the only country to get hit by nukes, uses nuclear energy.
Yeah.
You would think, like, if they're not afraid of it, it must work.
Yeah. Marv, you say Gen Zers aren't afraid of the bomb. Them and millennials are terrified of climate change. Marv, I'm going to tell you right now, oh wait, you don't worry about it because you actually know what's up. Yeah, climate change is bullshit. They fed us that line in the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. And first it was an ice age, and then it was the ozone layer, and then it was the greenhouse effect, and now it's climate change. And it never happens, and they just changed the rules a little. I mean, it's all crap. They've been peddling that lie for decades. Okay. Anyway, so we've been going on for about an hour and 15, and I think the audience is dropping off. So you want to call it a night? Hello? Did we lose you? Well, I guess we are calling it a night. Let's see if she calls back up. Well, that was a little odd. I guess her connection finally just died on her. She's at a hotel right now, so.
Yeah, the Bellagio, I believe.
Yeah. Huh. So how are you doing?
Long day.
Long day?
Long day.
You want to look into the camera and tell them how it was?
I'm laying bricks. That's how good it was.
Show them.
Yeah, that's real interestingly drawing bricks. I'm finally returning to my infinity corridor. That's going to be a library. And after a much needed break away from it.
Push it close to the camera.
My library?
Yeah.
And for those of you who didn't see me making this is going to be one of the stacks from the restricted section at Hogwarts. So, yeah. It'll eventually be an infinity corridor. This is pretty much done. I'm just adding all of my all of the resin to make it look like water dripping. I would have done it this evening, but I don't have a powerful enough UV lamp to make it cure quickly. So it's better if I do it during the day, and then I can have this sit outside.
Hey there, Ginell.
I'm sorry. My Surface battery, it ran out. Shouldn't have.
Oh.
It had 50% left, and then it shut down. So I apologize, everyone.
Well, it's okay. We're going to call it a night. Our listeners are dropping off rapidly. So I think either something's on or they're all doing something else.
Okay.
But so, no, this has been a fun show. I love the fact that we just talk about random stuff and it goes wherever it goes. Mm-hmm. And inevitably, it always goes back to X-Men, but that's okay. I'm good with that.
Not a bad thing.
I'm with that too. Though I have to, before you go, I would love to have to either be on a show or just have Kat.
You're going to have to try again. We lost the whole thing. Try again.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you go.
Oh boy. Okay, I just want Kat to do a Victorian era show. Talking about Victorian era stuff. My request.
Totally. I can do that.
And that's not the first time we've gotten that request.
I can do that. I know a lot about the Victorians.
Okay. Anytime you feel like it, we'll just get you started.
Whatever. Ginell, do you want to be part of it? Uh-oh.
I think we lost her.
Sure.
Again.
I don't know much about the Victorian era except for the cooking. That's where. Oh. Can you guys? Okay.
We can hear you.
Probably
We can
go.
hear
I
you.
think it's the internet.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Well, that's
good
just
night,
telling me
everybody.
that the internet here going to shit.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right.
okay.
Well, we'll talk to you again very soon, guys.